if you're like drunk and having a bad night and you come down and you get a pep talk in the basement and we level with you or whatever, that should be an elimination or something. But if we're too strict about the rules, then there's going to be like nobody left. So
then
No, what the fuck? Bitch.
something. But if we're too strict about the rules, then there's going to be like nobody left. So
then
Yeah. I agree with
tell me
that.
what the rules mean then.
there's still
Oh, fuck off.
that should be an elimination or something. But if we're rules, then there's
Yeah.
going to be like nobody left. So
then
Oh. I think that this level of transparency is really... Sorry,
that should be an
no,
elimination
I'm
or something.
sorry.
But if we're too strict about the rules, then there's going to be like nobody left.
Dude, it's you can't post memes till you have access to the entire server. I think this I said this earlier. I think this level of transparency is great. I think that yeah, the site's for sure crashed. Everyone on the site chat is saying it crashed. I think this level of transparency is really great. We could take this time to recap a little bit. Once again, this was a huge criticism, and it always has been since season 1 about a lack of transparency from production. It leaves everyone to formulate their own opinions, which tend to be almost for sure always incorrect about making the assumptions on what's going on behind the scenes. I also have a production background, not to be Mr. Hollywood like James Drake, but like I know firsthand how much shit goes wrong and how insane doing something like this is, which is why I actually started following this show so intently, and I made a tech breakdown of like how it all works and stuff like that, because it fascinated me so much. They just apologized for the site being down. Because it fascinated me so much how they were able to pull something like this off. It was like so insane and so impressive from a production standpoint. And so it is really difficult. And like, I really empathize with what Jet's saying. And by the way, also Jet is really like, I think he got the piss beaten out of him post season 4 and leading up to this. And I think that it's taken him this amount of time to maybe gain a little humility, in the sense that I'm not getting nearly as much of the smarmy ego shit from him and like talking down to the fish and be like, well, that's tough shit. You know, like he kind of used to be. And now he is being a lot more empathetic. Like he said to James Drake, he's like, I understand how that would piss you off. I understand why you would feel stepped on in this situation. You know, just stuff like that. Like, I think that Jet is better without Sam. Is that why? You know, there is something that's different, that's very major, you know, and that could be why, you know. But it's still not working much. They said the router forced an update. So as soon as we're back, I'll shut the fuck up to get the... It still doesn't seem like it's back up. But you know, production's doing their best, and I think this level of transparency, regardless of what happens, right? It's not about do you make a mistake or not. This is not just about the show. This is about anything. And all of you can take this away from this stream. It's not about if you make a mistake. It's about how you respond. It's not about if something goes wrong. It's about how you respond when something goes wrong, right? And that is the case with everything in life, right? So this shit is not going as planned, obviously, and that always is going to happen, especially in a live 24/7 show like this. Bunch of shit always goes wrong. You almost plan for things to go wrong and not go as planned. And so when that happens, then what do you do? And I think this level of transparency, it's one of the best ways you can handle it. Working in my business now full time, I counsel other companies all the time. They get pissed off when they get a bad review, and we always tell them, it's not a bad thing to get, 1 or 2 bad reviews, because people actually trust having a 4.9 star rating on Google Business more than a 5.0, because it seems real when you have a 4.9. You have a couple bad reviews. And what's important is not that you got the bad reviews, it's how did you reply to the bad reviews, because that is going to make people convinced to use your business or not. Because it's not about how you respond on your best day, it's about how you respond on your worst day. That's all that matters. And I think if we all took that to heart and tried to keep that in the front of our minds more often, I know I need to even think about it more. I think a lot of good would come from that. I think good results would come from that. I see the thumbnails are updating, but I'm not seeing I'm not seeing I can't get the fucking shit back. So I don't know what's going on with that. And that's, by the way, that's shit I've learned over many years now of working in business, and I just exited my other company. I was the CTO. They got acquired, and I exited that company. Now I'm doing my own thing. I just went full-time working for myself this past week. So so I'm fresh on this shit. And as far as like doing this, being out on my own like this, and it's, it's brave, it's crazy new scary territory, you know what I'm saying? But and I say, my wife and I say this all the time in our relationship too. I think this is in our, no, I don't think it's in our wedding vows, but we say this a lot to each other of like, I love her and she loves me on our worst days. She doesn't just love me on my best days when I'm fucking awesome, I'm fucking doing great. She also loves me on my fucking worst days where I am being a dickhead and I have a short temper and I didn't get enough fucking sleep and all that kind of shit. I'm pissed off about shit. And she still loves me, and I still love her on her worst days. You know what I mean? And that is what matters, because anyone could love someone on their perfect, at their most perfect. You know what I mean? But that's not reality. That's not all the time. So you could apply the same to business,
Vance
to
had
everything
a chair
else.
over his head, and they had to keep moving. They had to move it together. And at some point,
Yeah,
we were
it just got
Vance
back
is
for
bigger.
me.
Okay, well, let's tie a dumbbell to his ankle. And that was just a big handicap we gave him because he was bigger and he's a guy versus a girl in a physical challenge, right? And the challenge ended when they like slipped. Like that wasn't planned. Like that's how the challenge ended. Now, did we weigh Vance versus Josie to
Thank you,
see
Shane
what
Gillis.
was the weight differential and what was the fair amount to handicap Vance? No, we just like tied like a thing to his ankle. And that was probably one of our better challenges. Like when we started, we didn't know what we were doing. And I'm not saying we do now, but today we weighed the leaves, which we have never done before. And the audience is actually mad at me because of how structured this game is compared to prior games. And that's, you can either believe me or you don't, but it's true. I get an earful every time I look at any screen about how like, just rig it, just whatever. The fans want their person to win, and that's all they care about. But I'm like, I